Hello and welcome back to the Remembering Tuscola webcast. I'm David Porter. I'm here with Mike Carroll and Bill Englehardt, two of Tuscola's most well-known, fabulous. Um, what else?
That the best you can do?
Yeah.
Probably should have stopped after
You
most.
should have said just two of Tuscola's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have anything prepared.
Yeah, well, we don't either. We're just small town boys.
Isn't there a song, Small Town World, or something like that?
Hmm. Not that
Well,
I know
Billy
of.
Joel had no, that was something about girls.
Small town girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hmm.
Well, how would you introduce yourself, David, if you were sitting over here? What would you
Well,
say?
I did introduce myself. I
I
said,
know, but what would you, if you wanted to polish the ivory a little bit, what would you have
what
said?
would I say about myself?
Huh.
Not much. What's there to say?
They, is the beard coming back on there?
Yeah, it's I was gonna trim it down today, but I decided to sleep a little later instead.
Probably a good idea.
That's a 1 day beard. That's pretty good.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's yeah, it's about 12 hours.
12 hours. So what were you working late? There was no newspaper due today. What were you working so late on tonight?
Well, I always stay up overnight because
I thought Monday and Tuesday were your killers. Sunday,
well they
Monday, Tuesday.
are, but I can't stay up all night Monday and Tuesday, Sunday and Monday nights if I don't stay up the rest of the week.
That's just your normal sleep
Just
pattern
He
then.
my
works
normal
night shift.
schedule.
That's just your normal pattern then.
Night
Well,
shift.
you could say, David, you're a writer extraordinaire and point to your 4 books behind you right there.
I
Four
started
books.
another one. I started another one. Um, yeah, these are books I've written. One of them is not published yet, but I brought in a few books. This is uh this is my latest one.
Ooh, that house.
Oh, that's your autobiography.
This is yeah, autobiography. That's right. This is how I would describe myself.
A kill seeker.
This is a novel. It is not for everybody. It is not it's not a nice book. It's got a lot of bad stuff in it. If you're sensitive to that kind of thing,
Don't read that book.
don't read it. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. If they were, you might be in the book. This is another one I published just in the last couple of weeks on how to publish a newspaper. This is designed for news deserts. That's the depiction here is you got a newsstand there in the desert. Uh, that's the what we call it in the industry whenever a community has no local news. They're in a news desert.
Hmm.
In my opinion, is uh, there might be someone locally who would like to publish a newspaper, but they don't know how to do it. This book tells them how to do it. Uh, I get kind of frustrated sometimes when in our business when we talk about how bad things are, how bad things are going, and we talk about why this has happened, and we blame the internet, we blame the economy, we blame different people. And my thought is, well, what are we doing about it? Well, here's something I'm doing about it. I'm trying to help people if they want to start a newspaper in a town that doesn't have any, whether it's in print or online. They need a little basic information. And
Well,
this,
not to mention, you actually put your money, heart, and soul and time into running a newspaper.
I have, I
So,
have owned three of my own newspapers, including one startup, which was actually the second. startup I managed. I managed the regional newspaper, which was a startup. So everything I'm, telling people how to do, I've done it. Not every situation is going to be the same. Not every state's going to be the same. Uh, but you're going to need a computer. You're going to need software. You're going to need, uh, advertising and news reporting, and this kind of goes over the basics of all that. Very niche market.
I had
Right.
one question with AI being what it is today. It's hard to get reporters. Can you just say, AI, write me an article on the status of tariffs, write me an article on the status of the war in the Middle East? Can you just put fillers in there and not have to pay for it?
Well, of course, that would not be local news. So
But
you
it's
can
still our
use,
stuff.
all right, you can use uh, uh, AI to write those kinds of stories. You need to be a little careful, read it over. Chat GPT is very good. Um, there are others out there that they'll even list their sources. So I've used some of that for our trade magazine. Um, but you can also put in a set of information. Like you go to the city council story. One time, I just uploaded the city council agenda. I was going to be out of town, didn't have time to write it. I just uploaded the agenda and said, write a story, assuming that everything on this agenda was approved. Boom! Within 3 seconds, ChatGPT wrote a news story to AP style based on that information. So if you just went to a meeting and took notes, you could go to your computer, type in the city council met Monday, whatever, and they these were the agenda items, and they passed this and they passed this, but they didn't pass that, and they said this. Write me a story, and within seconds, it will write you a pretty reasonable story based on that information.
As long as it doesn't hallucinate. That's one of the problems with chat. Sometimes they they
That's why you
hallucinate.
got to read it over. But if you're only putting it in, you're giving it the information to use.
Right?
So it's not pulling information from other places. It's just taking those facts. You still want to read it over. Uh,
Well, why don't we
I've
start?
used it.
But I was actually thinking about that. I could go out and sell ads.
Yeah, why don't we run newspaper?
Yeah, we could do that.
Do you need
Well,
ads?
we talked about it a little bit, but my cover design is all AI.
Yeah.
Now I told it what to build. I told it I want a dilapidated old house. And I said, I want to put some bricks and debris under the house. Add a police car. And then on the back, I said, add a church. Add the road. And it only came up. The sky only came up to here. So I said, give me a threatening sky. And it took, you know, 15, 20 minutes of trial and error. But in 15, 20 minutes, I designed the book cover. Um, And this is the same way. I told it, uh, give me an oasis in the middle of the desert. And then I said, add a news box. And it took about 6 tries to get the news box that I wanted. And then I said, add a palm tree and add some cacti. And within 10 minutes, I had my cover. So AI is just a really powerful tool. And what I've done with it too is, I said I started a new book. I gave AI my like a 1 paragraph synopsis of what I want to do with the book and asked it to write an outline. And it came up with different ideas and said, we could go this direction, we could go that direction. Would you like me to flesh out the outline more? I said, yes, do that. It gave me a 20 chapter outline based on my idea that I can now go in and write the book. I won't use AI to write the book, but I can use AI's outline to stay on point because it's organized it and it's just the way I would have done it if I did it myself.
There's software programs, pseudo write will write novel for you. You
Oh,
give it,
you can write the whole novel using AI, and there are people who doing that. I'm not for that, and I don't think you're going to get the quality of writing that you would on your own. You may get fewer typographical errors. The other thing I did was I took my novel, The Kill Seeker, and I asked it to analyze it and compare it to other books. One of the things, if you're trying to sell a book to a publisher, they want to know, how is this like other books? How is it different from other books? Well, I don't read 50 books a year, so I don't know what it, if it, how it compares to other books, but AI does. And so it allowed me to upload the entire uh, manuscript and then gave me a report about how what this book is about. It's a summary and what books it's like and how it compares to them and it's great. I mean, it can do a lot of things very quickly.
I would think there's a lot of books out there on psychopathic sex killers.
There are a ton of them. There are websites devoted to it.
I have to admit, I asked AI a question on the computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had to do with medicine
Yeah.
and the mixing of medicines.
Well, it'll give you an answer.
Oh, yeah, it came back.
Well, you know, Siri on your phone is AI. Google is AI. So I'm
Wow.
not sure people realize how much AI is used.
Well, and AI is just in its infancy, David.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about
I
it.
wrote an article a couple weeks ago about the jobs coming back, and I talked about the head of Salesforce. The AI is they're talking to each other, they're learning how to reason. He says we'll be able to resource 2,000 workers. We'll be able to free them up for higher task. In other words, we're going to fire their ass. They go home and write poetry. Yeah, it's here, and it's only going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. It's going to exceed human capacity quickly.
I have some other books people should may be interested in. I've got this one here.
That's not about sex killing psychopaths.
No.
No, but
That
it's got some sex in it.
it explains why God would allow
Mhm.
a psychopathic sex killer on the earth.
Mhm.
In case you're wondering why God would design a world that includes psychopaths.
There you go. This is a nice companion book to the novel.
Yeah, it's a beach read. It's an easy read.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so far, nobody I know who bought it has finished it.
And it's also, you can use it as a paperweight.
Yes, and it also puts you to sleep if you have insomnia.
I have this book.
Caldwell's
Oh, Caldwell's book.
This
yeah,
is one of Joe Caldwell's books
very
about
popular.
Tuscola, a memoir. It's pretty
Wonder
thin.
how much he sold of that, you know?
I don't know. I think it's his best-selling book.
It
I
was
don't
a
know.
good book, Joe.
I've got a couple books by Dick Gallagher, Bo James books, another Tuscola person.
Yep.
I don't have every Tuscola book probably. This one is former Tuscola resident, General Enyart, wrote this book on leadership.
You know, David, he was on the other night. Maybe I mentioned that to you already. It was either CNN, maybe MSNBC, something of that nature.
He's on one of those news shows, is it News Nation?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's our
He,
military go-to guy.
yeah, he's on there all the time. He's got a chapter in this book.
Is that kind of a sex psychopath killer thing?
Well, I don't know. I read Bill's chapter, uh,
Mm.
which is his chapter. If my memory serves me right, is why Trump would never make it as a military officer.
Well, he's got stone bruises in his heels.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
You wonder, he ever play
yeah,
any sports besides golf? Do you have
if,
any?
He played baseball
if Trump was entering the military, he would not receive a security clearance. That's the chapter.
yeah. You ought to open a bookstore.
Well, I'm not trying to sell these. These are in my collection.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my plan too. I don't want to sell any of my books either.
I'm
Just,
selling these books back here.
oh, okay.
I'll sell you those.
Okay.
And three of them are available on Amazon. I haven't published the one yet. That's just a proof copy on the one. It's in editing. Well, it's kind of fun publishing these books.
Well, we could have Deaver's book on there too, another Tuscola writer.
Yeah.
And Carnine,
Forster's got some.
Gary Forster.
Carnine's got some. Non-academic.
Isn't it funny? The mid-60s were a
Yeah.
productive era.
Yes, they were.
I have an advantage in that I can do my own formatting and my own covers, and I don't have to hire anything out except the printing.
Well, let's see a picture and see if we know anything.
Yeah, right now we feel dumb.
You ready for pictures?
Yeah,
Yeah,
first one, it better not be a psycho sex killer.
yeah.
Bill should write a book. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, time for you now.
I would,
Rosie Clare and Me by
I
Bill
would,
Englehardt.
yeah, I would consider that.
Winnie the Pooh book.
We'd be better off.
Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I got to do this. Okay, here we go.
Who's our sponsors this week?
Trust Bank and Elite Builders.
Well, we thank them for allowing us to be on the air. They're the ones that doubled our salary.
That's right.
They sponsor the pictures on Facebook. Okay, here we go.
Is that the Best Girls? Shelby Best and
That's Jolly and both best girls. Tony,
all in gymnastics.
yeah,
And Leanne Jolly.
Leanne Jolly,
Tony and
yeah.
Shelby.
Leanne was good. I had Leanne and Tony actually in my classroom in 6th grade.
Erica Leonard says Mattoon Tiny Tots Gymnastics.
Yeah.
Looks like somebody's living room to me.
Yeah, I doubt if they did all their gymnastics with the TV right there.
Yeah.
Holly
Sluter.
Sluter.
Holly
I'm
Sluter.
looking in the back. I can't see with my glasses. Oh my gosh, I know her. I can't tell you. Can't call.
Well, Kendra Estridge says tag Teresa Reed says, isn't that your mom?
Oh, Sheila Reed.
Yeah,
Sheila worked at First Federal.
that looks like a bank, and I didn't know her, but Chuck, her son Chuck, was in my class, and that picture looks a lot like Chuck. So I'm guessing probably is.
That's quite a compliment to Mrs. Reed there.
No, I mean, you know how people, you can see, you know, some resemblance in the smile and eyes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she looks like a man or he looks like a woman. I'm just saying that you can see some resemblance.
I was just kidding.
I know. I'm just trying to keep myself out of hot water here.
Bill Waters.
Phil Waters, Fred
Fred
Ross.
Ross.
Somebody Cabot.
I think that's all the names I've got.
Trying to get this out of here. Huh.
This negative was not very good. Some of the negatives are not in good shape. So we're doing our best to digitize them.
Well, that's Kent McGillen at the Ben Franklin store, and that's Laura McGee.
According to Eric Alexander's Mary McGee.
I mean, Mary.
I was gonna say Mary, but I didn't want to make you look bad.
Yeah, thanks.
And also according to Cliff McGee.
Well, that's Cliff and Danny's sister.
Yep.
You get it.
Jerry Reynolds and
And April Wallace,
looks like her.
April Kaufman now.
Yeah, I told you guys would do well on these pictures.
Well, that's Best again. Who is that? That was taken at Ligas, wasn't it?
Uh-huh. That's not Tony.
No, not hardly.
I
Bob
don't.
Utterback has a name.
Go ahead.
Bob Gray.
Bob Gray owned Fabrionics over in Camargo. I did legal work for him. It doesn't look like the Bob Gray I knew. Maybe it's a different Bob Gray.
Possibly.
That's the name Bob Utterback gave.
Bob would know.
He would know.
I defer to the Robert.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Masonic Lodge.
go ahead.
Well, the third one in from the left
Well,
is
second-
Hoppy Hopkins,
Second
Roy
one,
Hopkins.
second one's Laverle Byers,
Yeah, it's Byers, and then
Hopkins, and then
Crowder.
Charlie Crowder,
Don't know the big guy.
Ralph Allen,
Ralph Allen.
Don't know.
That's Gar. Bill Gar. Leniger.
Jack Leniger,
Jack Leniger.
Arnhem Root.
Yeah, Mr. Root. And don't know the other fellow.
Let's see, you got Ralph Allen
Yeah, he's in the middle.
and apparently Gene Williams.
Oh, Gene Williams is between Crowder and
Right.
Allen. He was a street
Superintendent.
superintendent of city streets.
So I think you've got all the names I had. I recognize Jack right away, Jack Leniger.
His son Jeff, really nice young man, played baseball at Tuscola High School, played it well, and I thought was a policeman in Springfield last
Yeah.
year.
He was. I don't know if he's retired yet, but last I knew he was a policeman in Springfield.
They moved to Marseille, or were they from Marseille?
No, he
Okay.
moved there from Tuscola. Jack did.
Yeah.
As far as I know, he's still up there. I don't know.
He wanted to get closer to the radar, weather radar.
This negative was another one of those that was
Well, that's Dallas on the left.
in very good shape.
Rick Dallas, but I can't tell the other one. That's kind of blurred for me.
Yeah, it's the neg a little out of focus or something, but Kelly Wiesner thinks it's Bert Wiesner on the right.
A little heavy for Bert, but maybe.
Gee, man,
Doesn't look like Bert.
it doesn't look like Bert. But like I said, this is kind of smeared. That's down there at when they had that Wiesner's had that shop down there where
Jericho Street.
yeah, Higgins.
Kelly Wiesner says mom thinks this was when the shop was on Carico when Higgins owned it.
See, we just talked about it.
Torn down now.
Yep, remembering Tuscola.
I don't think go back to that Wiesner. I'll tell you who worked for him was Jim Wiesner, not Bert. But that's not
Jim.
But Jim worked for him there.
Well, actually, I think didn't they have the shop together? How was that?
You think Bert was there with him?
Yeah, they were there together.
I know Jim worked there.
But Bert farmed too. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim didn't. Okay, next. It's Tom Ray on the left. And on the right, I'm not for sure.
Leon Williams says it's Phil Gangloff on the right.
But that's Tommy Ray, right?
Yeah, Tom Ray on the left.
Was Gangloff a good baseball player?
I don't know if this one was or not. The other one was. I can't think of his name, Rob, the red-headed one. I know their dad was a good golfer at times.
Yeah.
Well, I should know them all, but I just can't put a handle to it.
Some of these pictures are from 1982, but most of them were in an envelope that had no date on it. Jan Swihart Hastings says Patty Laley second from left. And Barb Class says Dorena McDade Hamill, question mark, Michelle Knoll. Looks like Moultrie Douglas Fair candidates probably taking an Arthur.
Patty played basketball for me,
Mhm.
but she's all fixed up there. I like to think of her and playing basketball, and hair's a little mussed up and everything. Here she looks very, very nice.
Yeah.
I think she was a year ahead of me in school.
Very Duncan McHugh.
Duncan McHugh. Bill Angle.
Oh, Wild
Bangles
Bill
and his wife and family.
and Lance. I had Lance in sixth grade. He was a character. That's a nice picture of the Vangle family.
Yep. Lance and Allison are the kids' names.
Yeah, Allison was Caleb's age. Lance was older.
And Diane was the wife's name.
Yes. Oh, we're playing golf. Nice shorts, Red.
Mhm.
Red Prophet, Earl Pendergrass. Who's that?
Not sure.
Looks like Ron Egan.
A little bit.
It is. This is down at Caskey. That's Plumber Broyles, Jim Broyles from Lovington. Can't tell. Small fellow. And that's Jim Patridge on the far right.
Mhm.
How'd we do?
Bucko.
Well, you had more names than I did.
Who's Bucko playing with there?
There must be a U of I outing, maybe. Who knows? Is that?
Oh, that's
Dyke.
That's like Edelman.
Yeah.
Dyke Rooney.
Boy, that'd be a great picture to have.
I was going to say, you know the guy on the right,
Oh, yeah.
but
Certainly.
the picture's not, the negative wasn't very good. It was washed out. I did a lot of work to make it come out as well as it did.
He
But
wearing,
that's
is he wearing black socks or that just shadow on his leg?
I think it's just
Shadow.
suntan and bad negative.
Yeah.
I played golf with both of them.
And the guy on the right is, isn't he considered the greatest athlete to ever come out of Illinois?
No, he was sitting next to me on my right here.
Dyke had mentioned to me one night when he got drunk. No, I think Dyke, he was in the Olympics, high jumped. He was good at everything.
Football.
I
Held the
know,
record for a punt.
I think I could beat him in golf.
Hey, you know what? Both of those fellows were punters at the University of Illinois.
Yeah. And I punted in high school and Bucko taught me, and he was a good punter for the U of I.
And of course, Dyke is daughter's
D.
D. Lindsay.
Mhm.
She wrote a biography of
Diana.
him. Really good book.
Just a nice person.
Dyke always had a smile on his face, always said something
Yeah.
friendly. Never saw him mad.
Nope.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's Broyles on the left. And that's Bob Hood on
Bob
the far
Hood,
right.
the old Douglas County assessor, one of the best we ever had. You'd go in and talk to Bob, and today they use equations and algorithms, and you go say, Bob, they've assessed my property at 80,000. I said, I can't sell it for 60. So, well, let's make her 60, Mike.
Yeah.
Things went smooth with Bob.
I like Bob. I played golf with all of them at some point.
I don't think I played with Broyles.
I did, because he was down there at Caskey when I was there.
Bucko was a good golfer.
Yes, he was.
What do you want to bet those socks he's wearing are black and gold stripes?
Bucko and Jack Timmons got in a fight. Locker room. Caskey.
Mhm.
Okay, do we know a horse rider here?
I don't know any horse people.
Looks like probably the fairgrounds. I don't have any names on that one.
Douglas County Fair. That's Pendergrass on the right.
Earl Pendergrass on the right. The guy in the middle looks like he's a Scottish golf official.
I'm guessing a politician. Wilbur Flume on the left.
Who?
Wilbur Flume.
Wilbur. So this thing will shoot us to the moon, you're saying?
Yeah.
This is a rocket ejector,
Yeah.
an artificial insemination tube for
I don't know
elephants?
if he's a politician or a banker. Does he look like one of those bankers that Earl LaPearl brought in?
Well, no. None of the ones I know. You could play in the British Open with those pants.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows the name of the guy in the middle. So I'm assuming he's not from around here.
Well, there was a guy that bought First National Bank briefly from man, he was from down Southern Illinois. Huber knew him. What was his name? Starts with a T.
No, I don't remember.
Doug worked for him, McCumber. Tattleman or I don't know. Well, there's
That's Fleisch on the front row.
Flash front left, Dale Hanners. That Douglas, I don't know who that is. Next to him.
These guys going into the Masonic Lodge.
I think so.
I
Well,
miss Fleisch.
Leon Williams says Dale, Robert, and Earl Hanners left to right front.
Oh, that's Earl. Is the uncle, I think.
And then second, I assume he means second row, says question mark and then himself.
Oh, that's Leon, isn't it?
And then Nick Babs.
Huh. Nick Babs. Brother Danny. Hey, Leon really hasn't changed that much.
Kathy
Looking at-
Hanner says Grandpa Albert Hanners, front row, fourth from left. Maybe Dennis Connor, first from left and second row. See if I got any more names here. Moose Lodge orientation.
Oh,
Ron Rome says thinks maybe Scott Dallas, end of second row. Does kind of look like Scott.
Yeah, doesn't look like him.
well, actually, you know what? If you just look at the face,
I'm looking at his feet.
yeah,
Looking at his feet, yeah.
I'm a toe guy.
yeah, you're a toe man. Moose orientation.
That's what it says.
Fleisch would have loved the moose.
Yes, he would have. There's Waters,
Francis
Francis
Waters.
Waters, upper left.
And tall fellow looks familiar too. That's a good picture of Fleisch. I hope Kelly gets to see that.
Yeah,
Tracy Smith says the taller guy is her grandfather, John Clare.
John Clare.
Flash looked like he sang with the Bee Gees.
Front row, Dale, Robert, Earl, and Albert Hanners. 3 generations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a hole in the middle.
Yeah, you gotta recognize Mabel Hole. She never changed.
Third one in from the left is Jack Allen. Second row, I think that's Jack.
Could be.
Wore dark glasses back then. I think it's Jack. I'm wondering if this is
Mhm.
I don't know if this is political or not.
I think it was taken in a church.
Well, Jesus
Well,
is,
according to Leroy Ron, this is the Emmanuel Lutheran Church 50th anniversary confirmation class dinner.
well, that may be Floyd Ron then, third from the
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
He was a
It's not Jack.
big tall guy like Jack. Had the nice bouffant hair and black glasses. That's Floyd Ron then. Is that Curly Ron right here?
Possibly.
Front row, second one in, Curly Ron.
That's a church building we were married in.
Yeah.
Leroy says back rows Irene Schrader, first three men in back row, Floyd Ron, Harold Ron, and Walt Christine. And then he says his dad is bottom row, far left, Roy Ron.
I think his second one in is Curly. Curly had little hair then.
I think that's all the names.
No. Mm.
Yeah, that's Floyd head on. And lower right, I think is Ortholine, his wife. Curly Ron, second from left. Mabel.
Leroy said that's his dad there.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Hole says, other than his mom, Mabel, says his aunt Irene Schrader, top left, and Floyd Ron, middle top row.
Floyd was salt of the earth. Great guy.
Mabel was my second grade teacher.
Yeah. She's everybody's second grade teacher.
Yeah.
60 years. Looks
Oh,
like a
Maverick.
Ford Maverick.
Crossroad Motors.
Like about 1980, 81 Maverick. Dad had a green one.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what you could buy that car for, a couple thousand?
Well, they were rust buckets. Dad's trunk rusted out. I remember he loaded up with garden soil from somewhere and drove around town, and he left a 6-inch trail of dirt all over town. He got home and there was almost no dirt left in it.
I don't know if this was
That's Arcola, down to Arcola.
early 80s. My first new car I bought in 1984. I paid $8,000 for it. And it's a Nissan Pulsar. The equivalent of Ford was about 10,000. So I'm guessing at this time, a couple of years earlier in this particular car, you're probably looking at what, 6,500 maybe?
Probably new. Did McQueen run that Crossroads down to Arcola?
Yeah, but I thought Chris was mixed up into that deal.
Chris Hill.
Uh-huh. Somehow or the other. But it was McQueen, wasn't it?
I think so. Oh boy, Robert. And that is Harrington. That's Tom Harrington's wife. I forget her first name. He was a CPA here in town. What was her name? Tom. Tom's tall, skinny guy. Accountant, great guy. They came to town. You know, people talk about Tuscola can be provincial and insular, and a lot of people come to town and say it's cold. You never can be a part of it. Tom and his wife said, "Oh, that's crazy. If you want to go out and do stuff," he said, "I'm head of the chamber. She's head of the church. I'm head of this. I'm head of that. You can take over the town because everybody else is tired of running it."
Trying to think, where was that Tuscola freestanding
Sign?
sign. Hmm?
I'm not for sure. I'm looking there in the
In the
background.
background, the post looks like Irvin Park, but then you got a house behind it, so it must
Yeah.
be. So I'm trying to figure out just where that is.
Well, I
I
just
think
don't.
that sign, wasn't that sign sort of where the military memorial stuff is now?
Oh, wait a minute.
So if you come into town on North Line Road from 45, you would see this sign right in front of the park.
Well, Dietrich put up the wagon wheel, I think.
Huh.
I got a
No.
name. I'm gonna look up Tom Harrington here real quick.
And Bob Hastings. I worked for Bob for many years.
Yeah. Well, there's a nursing home when it was new. This is the one that's farthest one to the west, I think. Maybe wrong. Flat roofs. Geez.
Yeah, the county, we looked into that. That was going to be gifted to the county, and the trouble is the roof alone was going to cost way more than it was worth, and I think it was worried about
Interior damage.
well, mold especially.
Yeah. Boy, he looks familiar. I don't think that's is it Kobe Decker, maybe?
Well, I don't have any names on it, and I would think if it was Colby, somebody would have
Yeah, no, it's not.
looked like him to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Marcy thinks it's the Arthur Sale barn, the Arthur Fair barn.
No, it's not him.
Got a couple pictures from there. This one I almost didn't use because the negative was such poor quality. I thought, well, somebody might recognize those people, and they did.
And she is.
You'd know her if you look carefully.
Susie Huber,
Susie Huber and
her grandkids.
Travis Dobbs.
Oh, Travis.
Probably at the fair.
Travis soon going to be 50 years old. Whoa, here we go.
Now, this one, I took probably 20 scans of this picture trying to get it to come out because I knew you'd like this picture.
Yeah, I do.
Mike, I can't remember now, it was Mike or Bill. One of you thought Colleen Hartman in last week, and
That's Colleen on
we
the
got
left,
Colleen in this one on the left.
Teresa Brown,
There's the Ryan girl.
Kim Wall,
14 is Ryan.
Kelly Young. Is that Lisa Weatherford? Kim Ryan is 14. Kim Martin's 22. I forget who that girl is.
Bates is 51.
I didn't have the girls on the right. I don't think. This is after. Now these girls on the left, I coached, but the girls on the right, I'd left by then. Dietrich had them.
Well, this is 82, so some of these girls are in my class.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's Colleen.
So I've got some names here.
Oh, that is Moss. Yeah.
Second from the right is Artie.
Oh, and that's
Artie Moss.
Lisa Weatherford.
Lisa Weatherford, far right. Artie Moss's daughter. I can't remember.
Oh, this is
Aaron.
Mary Murray.
Mary Murray. Bates.
Uh,
Yeah, Sandy Colbecker Bates.
That's Sandy. See, I didn't coach Sandy. I coached Mary Murray. I coached Moss. She was JV at that time. This varsity team.
So Sherry Hausman Stewart says Colleen Hartman Hamill, got Teresa Brown, Kim Wall, Cash, Kelly Young, Minnie Mulligan, Melody Song, Kim Ryan, Lisa Jones, Chris Hunter, Chris Baird Hunter, Sandy Colbecker Bates, Mary Murray, Karen Moss, Lisa Weatherford, and front row Marty Christ, and doesn't know the coach, and then Shauna Bean Bosch.
Well, Shauna played. I don't understand what she's doing as a manager. I thought that was Shauna, but Shauna played. Now you're saying Chris Baird is number 50?
Let's see. Go back over my list again.
Mindy Mulligan doesn't look to me, or that girl's hair's
We
too
should have got
dark.
Jackie Brown's,
Yeah, that's
Jackie
Teresa. I got her, Teresa.
Jackie Hornline's daughter. We should
Yeah,
have got her.
I did.
Those glasses. Would you ever?
Yeah, I had her, Teresa. Yeah, that was easy. Kim Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Hunter is that's what Sherry has.
Hmm.
So 50 is the only one we didn't get.
Well, it just doesn't look like to me, but I've been wrong before. Mary Murray, that's actually a good picture, Mary. Moss works for the FBI.
Does she?
Mm-hmm. Out in Cincinnati, I believe.
82, 83 team.
Yeah, that's the varsity of 82, 83.
So let's see. 1, 2, 4 of these are in my class anyway. Class of 83. Anyway, I want to be sure to be able to use that picture. So I did a lot of work on that one.
That's a nice picture. Thank you.
What do you mean you had to do a lot of work?
Well, it's just you can see it's a little blurry on one end and the exposure was not correct on it.
Well,
So
can you correct one end and not the other?
well, I can't fix a blur, but I can fix the exposure a little bit. So I took about 20 different scans trying to get it to come out.
That's what you and I would do, right? If we were in charge.
Oh, yeah,
If
absolutely.
David dies, we can.
Well, we'll do this when we get our newspaper going.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll get a scanner
Mhm.
and a deblur.
Yeah.
The de-blur.
Oh, equipment costs money.
David's it's in his book. You got to buy his book to find out.
Okay. Well, shoot, there
Need a
goes the
computer.
first $10.
You need a computer. And then here's the hard part.
Any tariffs?
No, you need to know how to run the computer.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a tariff on newsprint now from
Mm.
Canada. It's going to drive some newspapers out of business.
As of right now, newsprint is exempt from the tariffs.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
That was smart.
yeah.
Have they exempted golf balls and golf clubs yet?
No, not that I know of.
Shoot.
But the one of the cool things, let me see if I can find here. On my new books, the newspaper book, newspaper publishing, I've sold 2 in France, 2 in India, and 1 in Canada. And the novel, I've sold 3 in the United Kingdom, 2 in France, 1 in Canada, and 1 in the Netherlands.
Pretty special, David.
That's one of the fun things about this publishing is you can sell all over the world. It's all in demand, so those would be printed in the countries where they were purchased.
Pretty special.
Well, I don't think there's any tariff on the electronic files. So yeah, I'm making lots of money. I'm up to Let me go back to my report here. You want to take a wild guess?
Well, you were 13 cents last week. I'd say you're at 28 cents now.
I'm at $33.68.
I caught, buddy. That's big time.
You're going to draw the attention of the IRS here pretty soon.
$33.
Do you know what Jack Nicklaus's first pro golf check was in a tournament he played?
7 cents.
$33.
Well, I've made more than a professional golfer then.
Yeah, Jack Nicklaus, no less.
Yeah. And what was it about Jack Nicklaus? What Donald Trump say?
No, he said something nice.
Yeah.
What do you say?
We'll talk about it off the air.
He doesn't like Jack?
No, I liked him fine.
Yeah, he likes him.
Just even though Donald Trump is willing to discuss that particular issue on air, I'm not.
Oh, the big bear. Well, I never liked when he played. I didn't like Nicholas because I was a Palmer fan, and Nicholas so dominated. You always pulled for the underdog. But in his older years,
Maybe it's Arnold Palmer that he was talking
oh
about.
yeah, no, Arnold's the guy that's
Oh, yeah, Arnold. Yeah, he's talking about.
Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how Johnny Carson had his wife, first wife. What was her name?
Joanne.
No, he had a little nickname.
Joanne was his second wife.
Yeah, Queenie or some.
I don't know.
Anyway, she was on there, and they got talking about golf, and
Oh, yeah.
he says, "Do you do anything special to help him before the tournament?" She goes, "Yeah, I kiss his balls." And he goes, "Well, I bet that makes his putter stand up." So she got up and left the thing, but you just can't say something like that to a comedian. He's not going to pass it up. He's not going to pass it up. What was her name?
I get it.
Arnold Palmer. We're gonna look this up real quick. She had a little funny little nickname.
Oh, that's Winnie.
Winnie. Yeah.
Winnie Palmer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was Arnold was supposed to be the stallion in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the locker room.
locker room. Jack, as he's gotten older, I've really grown to like Jack a lot. He's just a real spokesman for golf. He's a real classy guy,
Smart.
smart, just a great guy. But when he played, he was so ferocious.
Yeah. The Golden Bear.
The Golden Bear. A lot of those guys bear down, and don't talk during a round. Jack was one of those guys that didn't want to talk. Tiger, they want to concentrate. So that's what DeChambeau said about Rory. He said he didn't talk to me.
Didn't say a word to him.
Yeah, but you're concentrating on everything, keeping your. I, on the other hand, talk all the time, usually to try and screw my opponent.
Well, you were kind of like Lee Trevino.
Yeah.
And it didn't take much to screw me up.
Trevino, Jack hated playing with Trevino because he just talked, yap, yap, yap. So Jack tried to walk quick or walk slow just to get away from him. You couldn't get away from Trevino.
Nope.
He'd talk you to death.
Yeah.
If Trevino could hook a ball, he would have won the Masters, but he couldn't hook a ball.
True.
Well, just want to mention, we had Dyke Edelman, Dee's dad, and her first husband, her late husband, Wilson,
John Wilson.
was bigger than life.
Oh boy. We got so many J.C. Wilson stories, you just wouldn't believe it.
He'd come into the newspaper office, and he was another one of those guys that was just really, from my perspective anyway, was just really down to earth and friendly, and didn't treat the staff any differently than he did anybody else.
Was from Harrisburg, Illinois. JC's dad and uncle went to Kemper.
Well, you went to work for his dad when you and Andre.
Yeah,
I
worked down for a dairy brand dairy down there.
Bill and Andre decided to get away from the hustle bustle of Tuscola. It was too fast paced. Wanted to go back down near Golconda and Rosie Claire, where God's country. And he's looking for a job. Well, first thing, he'd be walking the streets of Golconda, looking for a job, going down to interviewing people on porches. Everybody's on welfare down there or Social Security. Where are you going, Bill? I'm going to look for a job. Come up on the porch here and have some iced tea and let's talk. I got to get a job. There'll be a job tomorrow, Bill. So Bill's down again. So he finally gets a job with J.C. Wilson's dad's dairy thing. He goes down the basement.
And damn near got electrocuted.
All these bare wires hanging around the machines. There's a foot of water there. Bill says, he came back to Tuscola pretty quick.
Yeah.
That reminds me when I was at my grandmother's house in Homer, and their sump pump didn't work right. So if you left it plugged in, it would just run constantly. So you have to go and unplug it. Well, the basement filled up with water, and she told me, go down there and plug the sump pump in.
Yeah.
I had to wade through the basement up to my waist in
yeah.
water and then plug it in while standing in the water.
Did your brain ever click in about how dangerous this was?
Yeah, I just kept telling myself, don't touch the prongs. When
Just say, well, it's been a good life so far. If the Lord wants me now, he can take me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill. How long did you live down there?
I forget exactly how long it was, but I do remember walking or working for Dairy Brand. Yeah.
Do you remember walking the streets looking for a job?
No, well, yeah, people said not to worry about it.
Don't worry about it, Bill.
It's a pace of life that I kind of like.
There'll be a job tomorrow,
Yeah.
Bill.
I tell you what, I imagine the folks down there are getting a little upset right now. Some of the programs getting
Oh,
waylaid.
yeah. I tell you what depresses me is cutting off funding to PBS and NPR. That's all I watch is PBS.
Smithsonian Institute, the Kennedy Center,
How about all the
any culture.
Any culture? He's going back to Dolly Partonville.
Mm-hmm.
All the research universities do, cutting off research.
Yep.
And Kennedy's closing departments right and left. Well, we can't afford it anymore, Bill.
Yeah, that's it.
Because we're going to lower taxes like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you didn't lower taxes, you could keep all these programs.
Yeah, there you go.
How much are we going to spend on a military parade?
60 million or something, they said.
You know what?
Go tear the street.
Hey.
They got to lay cardboard down. They'll tear the streets up.
You know, that job's not a bad gig. He flies back to Mar-a-Lago every weekend to play golf. Every weekend.
Won the club championship.
Yeah, no one else was in it. But that's all right.
Is that the key?
That helps.
I came in second and I was the only guy playing.
Yeah, that's the only guy playing.
Well, God love him.
Yeah. Somebody better. Interesting stuff. Interesting time.
I like PBS.
Me too. Me too.
World's changing, David.
I was on NPR last week talking about the newspaper business.
Oh, okay. I remember that, yeah.
I haven't had anyone stop me on the street and say, "Oh, I heard you on the radio." But of course, I don't get out much.
People over in communist China heard it and got excited about America.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what sold the book in all those foreign countries.
I thought Radio Free Europe had been cut off, so I don't know. The NPR radio might got cut off.
Yeah.
The times they are changing.
I was really surprised because the book on publishing is really aimed at the United States and the news deserts here. So I was really surprised. I've sold 5 copies in other countries.
Well, they're wanting to learn the business.
I guess.
Well, they're talking about trying to translate my book into English.
What language is it written in?
Theology.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very dense language. Hell, I've got 20 pages look at the back. I've got 20 pages of dictionary explaining the
All
words.
that in the appendix. Excuse me.
So I define the words in case they're a little bit challenging.
Yeah. Well, I put a
If you think reading my book is hard, you ought to be me reading 150 books just like it
To get there.
to get to my book.
Yeah.
I did
I had
put
to
a
read,
glossary.
I had to read Paul Tillich, Systematic Theology.
I did put a glossary in the newspaper book.
Good.
All the different terms that are used.
Good, an index or not?
There's no index, but there's not a real long book.
You know, in academic publications, they demand you have an index. And of course, I never could figure out how you do that because when you type your manuscript up, it's going to be a different page once they reduce it to, once the book printer actually formats it, it'll be a different page. But they say there's a software program that does it
It
automatically.
does it automatically. What you do is you use a style sheet on your title, and so then when you tell it to make an index, it picks up all those titles and tells you what page they're on. It does it automatically. And that's helpful.
New world,
Yep.
new world. Well, David,
I enjoyed the pictures, David. Those were good.
I knew
Maybe-
you'd like them this
ever
week.
get a chance to go back to 50s or 60s, that'd be good.
Well, we're about out of those.
You mean we're just about dead to the world?
I mean, we've scanned over 10,000 pictures.
And still, there's no picture of Bill inside a church.
No,
We've got 10,000.
we found one right outside of the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was outside.
Yeah. Well, that was, I think, for show.
That was for show.
That was for the judge for his probation. He and Skinner had a probation thing, and they just took that and showed that to Judge Harry Pate to say, look, you weren't on probation.
No,
Skinner was.
no, I was. No.
Maybe they were afraid the church would burst into flames.
Oh, the judge ordered him to get religion. And so to satisfy the judge, he had a picture taken outside the church with a suit on,
Mhm.
which to me is no proof he went inside. But it satisfied the judge because he was with Bingle, and Bingle was a solid member of the church, but
Yeah.
there's no picture of Bill ever in the church.
You go to church and then you'd come out and go to Dunn's Drugs
Right across the street
right across the street.
and have a Sunday phosphate.
Yeah. That's what you do. You know that now back to the old days, was Gus's closed on Sunday? Do you remember? Because I mean, here we are, Bill Skinner going to church there.
You know,
No one was in there, were they? Was Gus did he work on Sunday?
I don't remember Gus at Sunday. Saturday was the big day.
Saturday was huge.
And then during the week in grade school, we go down there and eat. That
Oh
was-
yeah.
But
But I can't remember if they were open on Sundays.
I don't either. They're not open now on Mondays. Mondays
Right.
they're closed.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
No, I can't think of it.
No, enjoy these pictures and all your work, David. And you're up in Bill's wheel horse here. Bill coached a lot of these girls. This is his era. Did you coach mid 80s,
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
early 80s?
Coached all the 80s. I was doing something at the junior high and the high school.
Well, you did pretty well, Mike, on a lot of these names.
Oh, he's a whiz.
Seemed like only yesterday, David,
Mm-hmm.
over 40 years ago. The Kim Ryan girl lived across the street over there. Her dad was Mike.
He worked at that bank.
He worked at Van Steenhouse's bank. Nice guy. Don't know where they moved to.
They're down, I want to say Pana
She's locally,
or Hillsboro, maybe.
I think now Pancow or something. What is
No, she's with Justin Walker, isn't she?
Yeah, she lives with Justin Walker, but yeah, I think her last name's Pancall.
she? Okay.
Um, yeah, now that I think about it, I think it's Hillsboro.
Nice guy. There was a blizzard out there at Hillcrest, not Hillcrest,
Southland Acres.
Northgate,
Oh.
North Prairie Estates. And I couldn't get into work as state's attorney. You couldn't even get out and Mike took off walked through our side yard and walked through that ponderous field and walked all the way into the bank.
Wow.
Could have died. Nobody's gonna be at the bank. Why did he even go?
Bank's supposed to be open.
Well, so was the state attorney's office, but I figured one more day in jail wouldn't kill him.
Probably wouldn't hurt.
But it drifted out there where it's about 3 or 4
Mhm.
feet deep. It's lower than
Oh,
it's
yeah.
lower than the Prairie Street.
I wonder if the boil order's over.
Well,
Yeah, I
Might
don't
take a
know.
while to determine that.
Let me check the city's Facebook page.
yeah, would you? Because Bill and I don't do Facebook. You just do X, don't you?
I asked, hey, is Instagram taking over Facebook?
There's a merger. I
Is
think
that what the kids are doing now? Instagram?
Facebook's buying.
Do you know what Instagram is? I mean,
I think one of them disappears. You do
They're owned by the same company, I think.
Meta.
Yeah.
what's X? Is that
That's,
Musk?
Musk
That's
is
Musk, yeah.
the only one I ever go on is True Social.
Yeah, that's the best one, isn't it?
Well, I went to the page about information, but I can't tell whether the boil order is still in effect or not. So anyway, apparently it was in effect last night, and as far as I know, it's still in effect. Says all city of Tuscola water customers are under a boil order until further notice due to a major water main break.
We're gonna have to go look it up.
What on? We don't do
That was
social.
posted
Oh,
6
well,
hours
I mean,
ago.
can't we drive around town and find it?
Yeah, we'll drive around town, just stare at the ground, see if the boil order's over. That's a good idea. Yeah, that thing looks like it's over.
There's a hole in the ground.
Oh, wait, we're in the cemetery.
Yeah.
I hope there's no water lines in the
I
cemetery.
hope not.
All right. Well, if you see I'm working on a break, take a picture for me.
We'll do it.
Will do, David.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Anything else,
All
William?
right.
Thanks a lot, David. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. We'll see you next week on Remembering Tuscola.